a journalist for socialistworker.org, stated that there is approximately 730,000 registered medical marijuana users in the United States today. Approximately every 23 seconds, someone is arrested for the possession of marijuana. 89% which are booked with possession only. I'll tell you a story about a terminally ill patient who is in compliance with all state laws, who was arrested by federal agents. Suzanne Fell, a paraplegic, was awoke by 20 federal agents who raided her hospice with guns to her patients and her caregivers. She herself awoke to 5 federal agents with guns to her head, screaming, "Get up and put your hands up." She tried to explain that she was a paraplegic, that she needs to put her hands down to lift herself off her bed. They continued to scream at her, saying, "Put your hands up and get out of bed." She motioned to her wheelchair which then they had ripped off the blankets off her, and to realize that she was indeed a paraplegic. They continued to arrest her, put her hands behind her back, and handcuff her to her bed. A paraplegic was arrested with possession of marijuana, as well as her caregiver, while they were in compliance with all state laws. In this speech, I will argue that you should support H.R. 2306. There are 3 main facts I'll go over in this. One is that current conflicting federal laws take away from states' rights. 2, the solution to these conflicting federal laws is passing H.R. 2306, which will give the states the rights back. And 3, I'll argue against the idea that marijuana is a very addictive and dangerous drug that many people believe. First, I'll start with the idea that the conflicting federal laws take away from states' rights. 16 states have voted to pass the legalization of medical marijuana. Under federal law, it is still illegal all throughout the United States for anyone to distribute or possess marijuana. These states have voted, as a democracy, they voted for these laws to pass the legalization of use of medical marijuana. However, the federal agents still have the capability, they still have the ability to arrest and prosecute anybody for the possession of marijuana, even if they're in compliance with state laws. This means that they could go in any medical marijuana dispensary and raid them for all their product, arrest employees and arrest owners and prosecute them. And a lot of jail time and fines are very heavy. They could arrest any medical marijuana patient, including terminally ill patients, who are prescribed this medication. This is taking away the rights of the people in the states who have actually voted for the legalization of medical marijuana. That brings me to my next point. The solution to these conflicting laws is passing H.R. 2306. Passing H.R. 2306 will take marijuana off the Schedule I drug list. What this will do, it'll take the federal agents, it'll take their rights away from arresting and prosecuting people for the possession of medical marijuana. Also taking marijuana off the Schedule I drug list, what it will do is it'll take the rights away from federal agents to regulate the distribution, the sales, and the possession of medical marijuana from the patients and dispensaries. What this will do, it will give the rights back to the states. Each state will be able to vote and pass the use or banning of medical marijuana. It will be up to the states to vote and pass these laws. Each state, if they do choose to pass the legalization of medical marijuana, it will be up to them to regulate the amount of growers, the dispensaries, and the patients that will be using medical marijuana. It will give the rights back to the states. As a state will be able to vote for the legalization or passing of medical marijuana, rather than federalism, the idea that if conflicting state and federal laws, that federal laws always trump state laws. It will take that away in this instance for the patients and the medical marijuana users. It will be up to the states to pass and legalize medical marijuana. Which brings me to my last argument, which is that marijuana is a highly addictive and dangerous drug. Janet Lapie, a doctor, she proposed to Congress that marijuana is in fact a highly dangerous drug. It is not as safe that marijuana lobbyists once push. She also states that is highly addictive, and that it leads to the use of other drugs such as cocaine. When you look at marijuana versus other medications, other pain medications which are alternatives to the use of marijuana, such as Oxycontin, morphine, Percocets, other muscle relaxers, it is far less addictive than marijuana. It is proven that other pain medications such as Oxycontin, morphine, Percocets are highly addictive. And with patients that have to use these pain medications for a long duration of time, it is also proven that they can become more highly addictive. When marijuana has not had any proven facts that is addictive. And as being a dangerous drug, other prescription medications, the other alternatives prescribed to these terminally ill patients, such as Oxycontin. Oxycontin is a synthetic form of heroin. And the continued use of Oxycontin, Percocets, Vicodin, hydrocodone, codeine, all these drugs have actually been proven to be highly addictive as the continued use by these patients. So, compared to the other alternative pain medications, marijuana seems to be way less addictive than the alternative drugs. In terms of being safe, in 2008, nearly 15,000 people died from overdoses of their prescription medications, such as Oxycontin, morphine, and codeine. There hasn't been any related deaths to the use of medical marijuana. So as far as marijuana being highly addictive and very dangerous, it is not as addictive and dangerous as the other drugs that people have been saying, such as Oxycontin, morphine, codeine. And then talk about the workplace, about people driving while being high, or working while being high. The prescription of medical marijuana will have the same exact rules and regulations as prescription. You will not be able to drive while smoking marijuana. You will not be able to operate heavy machinery such as forklifts or other heavy machinery at your workplace. It will have the same exact rules and regulations as other prescriptions. So mainly this will confine the use of medical marijuana to the home and private places. They'll be the only areas that patients will be able to use medical marijuana. So when you compare marijuana to other alternative drugs, other pain medications that are prescribed to these terminally ill patients, it is far less addictive and dangerous. In this speech, I've argued three main points. One, I've argued that conflicting federal laws take away from states' rights. Two, the solution to those conflicting federal laws is passing H.R. 2306, which will protect states' rights. And three, I've argued that marijuana is a far less addictive and dangerous drug than any alternative medications prescribed to terminally ill patients. Hopefully I've argued good enough points for you to support H.R. 2306. Thank you.